It's time for Arizona Car Week here in Scottsdale, which means we're here to check out the auctions at Barrett Jackson. And I've never been to this before, so there's a ton of stuff that they auction here every year. It's all no reserve, lots of memorabilia and interesting vintage signs and gas pumps and things like that, many of which you see behind me now. But we're obviously here to check out the cars. So with that in mind, let's get into the auction preview halls and see what amazing vehicles are going to be auctioned off later this week here at Barrett Jackson 2026. Hope you enjoy. To kick things off with some amazing supercars running across the auction lot, starting with a 599 GTO from Ferrari, several Ford GTs you can see lined up back there, Mercedes 300 SL Gullwing, and a Roadster, Ferraris. This is an SF90. What else do we have here? An original Murcielago pre-LP car, coupe, in a nice dark shade of green, incredible. New 992 GT3 RSs. You can see some of the original Ford GTs back there. There's a yellow one. Here we have a Flachbau Porsche 911 Turbo. This is actually a Targa model with the flat nose, very cool.
Excuse me.
That's all right. We have a 993 911, some McLarens, and then we just keep going. You can see how far back this haul goes. It just goes on and on. Lots of old school muscle and restored resto mod muscle here. We have a lot of different Corvettes across the C1 and the C2 cars. Some Chevrolets over here, Chevelles, Blazers, Fleetwoods, Bel Airs, you name it, it's all here. Just an incredible selection and diversity of cars that come to Barrett Jackson to get auctioned off every year. All no reserve, which means they are all selling by the time this week is through. And just want to take a look at this original Ford GT. I love the yellow on black for those cars. And here's a, I think, tungsten silver. Look at that huge lineup of GTs down there. And that's a 993 Turbo we saw there on the other side. Very cool. It looks like a Turbo S in the black over there with the yellow brake calipers. Awesome. Look at this. This is so cool. I'm usually not one for super old cars and like pre-war cars, but this is a really cool Aston Martin. 1938 Aston Martin 1598 Sports Tourer. From before they were even putting out the DB series of cars, you had stuff like this and the Aston Martin Ulster, and they were made in such limited numbers, and like who knows how many of them survive to this day. But this is a pristine example here. I'll have to read up more on the lot details of this one, but that is just exceptional. You see it here parked next to one of BMW's very early cars that went racing, the 328, also from the 30s, and also a 1938 example. So two sports car luxury rivals from a different era, the German brand versus British from the 30s. Very cool to see this. I don't think I've ever seen any pre-war Aston Martins. Love that. A big lineup of supercars here in the middle of the tent, but something that I absolutely could not overlook is this car right here, a Ferrari Testarossa, obviously, but something very unique and different about it, if you know your Ferraris, in that this is a Testarossa convertible, or Spider, which Ferrari themselves never actually made from the factory in period. This is a Straumann convertible conversion that was done to this Testarossa to turn it into the convertible version that Ferrari never made. And I don't know too much about Straumann. There was a bunch of different convertible conversion brands over the years that would do projects like this that were commissioned or in very low numbers. So I don't know how many of these they made, if they made them for later Testarossas like the 512 TR, but you can see the work they did here. Comprehensive conversion where the entire engine compartment that would normally be exposed is just replaced with this full deck lid with the ventilation, and of course all the structural changes and components that go into turning something like this into a convertible. Very cool to see, and of course going for auction here, but man, that is quite a special Ferrari to feast your eyes on that you won't see very much. Very interesting Porsche 911 here. This is the 992 Gen 911 with the Brabus 900 Rocket R package attached to it. That's right, Brabus doesn't just work on Mercedes-Benz and AMG cars, they also do work with Porsche, and this is one of the most extreme products you can get from them for the 911 models. Check out this awesome pair of second-gen Vipers here. These are the 50th anniversary editions for Hearst collaboration with Dodge, a coupe and a convertible. These are interesting though because they are the first ones made of their respective body style, the first coupe and the first convertible made from this anniversary series, which is why they're painted in this special flat gold paint with the black stripes. All the other ones in this anniversary series were white or black, and there were only 50 of these total, but the first two were these unique flat gold colors that look very interesting. It would normally something you would think is a wrap, but this is factory spec. And the auctions here for these come as a triple with the matching go-kart. Here's a nice deep cut of a car that I have never seen before. Only 176 of these exist. From the brand Panos, the AIV Roadster, short for Aluminum Intensive Vehicle, given its chassis construction. This is a very unique car from the brand's history that they made in the 90s using a Ford V8, and the aesthetics sort of give you Plymouth Prowler meets, Caterham track car vibes with the mostly open wheel design and the tapering front end that gets wider towards the back. Open air experience, two-seater only, very interesting. Never seen one before, but it's here at Barrett Jackson 2026. There are really an incredible amount of cars to see here in the auction preview. I was drawn to this one in particular here. This is an Aston Martin DB11, of course, but no ordinary DB11. This is, if you might guess from the color scheme, the AMR edition, specifically AMR Halo edition, with some additional cosmetic touches. One of only 100 cars produced worldwide. Who knows how many of these actually made it over to the North American market. But this was a period in Aston Martin's modern history where they were attempting to sort of put together their sub-performance brand within the group and call it AMR for Aston Martin Racing. So they made a few of these. There was a Rapide AMR, a Vantage AMR, and this, the DB11 AMR, short-lived from when the DB11 was still using a V12 engine. And just very interesting to see this from an alternate reality where we may have gotten additional AMR models building up that sub-brand, but it was never to be. It was a short-lived period for the brand. But here's one of those interesting examples. And here's a car that I would actually bid on if I had registered to bid at Barrett Jackson. The 1996 Chevy Impala SS, fully original and in the best color. The color you have to get with these cars, dark cherry metallic. Just so much attitude, but from a sort of odd period in American muscle car history where they were kind of just throwing performance and big engines at some rather mundane, sometimes commercial vehicles like this and the Crown Vic and the Mercury Grand Marquis. When they made the famous Mercury Marauder, Chevrolet did a similar thing here with the Caprice and took that otherwise ordinary sedan that would be oftentimes used for taxis and police cars, and they turned it into this, the Impala SS, to revive a famous nameplate and the SS performance badge. Love it or hate it, I think it's so cool. Of course, it's a 4-speed auto. You're not going to be ripping around, but it's just got such a great sound, so much attitude. The rear-wheel drive muscle car formula applied to the 90s. Love it. Look at this, from the new Edge generation of Mustangs, the 2003 Mach 1. And I highlight this specifically because this was the car I wanted in high school for my first car. This was the Mecca. And in fact, I did own a 2002 Mustang GT as my first car, but this was the one I ultimately went for. If I could find one, this is what I wanted. And in fact, I drove one in the Chicagoland area just like this, in this exact blue color, fully stock. A dealership was selling it. It was a little bit out of my budget at the time, so it didn't happen, but man, did I want it. I wanted to have the Mach 1 in blue from this gen of Mustang with the shaker hood. You never really see them anymore. This whole gen of Mustang is kind of a little forgotten, other than the Cobra, not talked about too much, but I think they're so cool. And that's a wrap on the 2026 auction preview for Barrett Jackson here in Scottsdale for Arizona Car Week. And man, there's just so much in there, just like an absolute sea of muscle cars and customs and resto mods and hot rods and off-roaders and classic trucks among the modern stuff that I couldn't even show you if I wanted to. It's just so much to see, way more than just one day's worth of walking around if you really want to take your time and see everything. But I just showed you some of my favorites, given that I'm usually more into the modern stuff. There's still some really amazing stuff here, and come this time next week, it'll all be sold. And I unfortunately won't be here for the finale of all the auctions, which they refer to as Super Saturday. So that's when they're all gonna actually roll across the auction block and get sold. And they do broadcast that live on History Channel if you wanna watch it. I'm sure there's other ways you can watch it now, but growing up, I always remember seeing this on History Channel. So anyway, it was really cool to be here and see the lots up close and get to experience some very rare cars with interesting stories that are going up for auction here at Barrett Jackson. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Follow along for more. Leave a comment with what you liked and what you want to see more or less of from the channel. And anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.